Welcome back, you guys. So today I am going to be recreating this specific interaction. Let me just show you guys the original one and then I'll show you what I ended up with. So this is the website. I'll link it in the description box below, but I found these list items, and as you hover over them, as you can see, this video pops up. Now I did pretty much the same thing here, but instead of picking out actor names, I picked out singer names. So as you hover, it pops in from the side and does this really nice effect. Okay, so yeah, without any further ado, let me just get right started. Okay, so first thing, we are in the Webflow designer. So the first thing that we're going to do is sort of change around this body. So I am just going to change the background color, sort of give it some padding, so 10 VW of padding at the top, same thing at the bottom, a little bit at the left, again same thing to the, sorry, a little bit to the right, same thing to the left. This is going to be set to flex vertical, aligned to the right, and that's it, or aligned to the end. Okay. Now, I'm also going to give this body a height of 100 VH. Okay. So first things first, I am just going to grab this list item, place it inside. Have a class of list. First thing that I want to do is get rid of this bullet points and also get rid of this padding. So 0 padding. It's going to have a width of 50%. And, yep, no padding. Okay. Now, we're going to grab this specific list item. I'm going to get rid of all of them but one. I'm going to give this class of list item. And it's basically, it's going to have some margin at the bottom to separate it, so 2 VW margin at the bottom. And it's also going to have a border at the top, so that would be 3 pixels white. Okay? Now, inside of here, we're going to grab another div. It's going to be called list item heading wrapper, because if we go back here, you can notice that there's the white heading and then there's the yellow one, and the yellow one kind of the white one moves up to reveal the yellow one, so that's what we're going to be doing. Okay, so this is going to have a height of 4 rem, and I'll tell you why in just a second. It's going to have a height of 4 rem, and it's going to be inside of here. I'm going to drag in a link. Where is it? Oh, text link there. Just place it inside of here, and it's going to have a class of list item heading. It's going to have a size of 3 rem and a height of 4 rem. Now again, that's why I set this to also have a height of 4 rem. And we will, okay, we'll change the color, make it white, capitalize it, and no text decoration. So just the text there says Harry Styles. Okay, we're going to duplicate this, and we're going to call this next one, give it a combo class of yellow. Okay, and we're just going to change the color to this sort of goldeny yellow. Okay, now to get them to come on top of each other, I'm just going to grab the heading wrapper, flex, and then vertical, just like this. Now, as you can see, this heading wrapper is only stopping here. It only has a height of 4 rem, right? But the second heading, because it also has a height of 4 rem, remember both of them have a height of 4 rem? What that's doing is it's like spilling out this yellow one. So to hide it, what we're going to do is we're just going to go back to the heading wrapper, and we're going to hit overflow hidden. That way it's gone. And when we move up this first heading, that's when the second one also comes up. So if I sort of give it negative negative margin to show you what's going to happen later, if I just sort of move it up, you can see that the second one also starts to come up. So that's what we're going to do. Reset that. Okay. Now, the last thing that we want to do is grab a background video. So scroll down here, background video. Oh, never mind. Background video, okay. And we are going to give this a class of list item video. Okay, I'm going to just upload a video that I already have saved here. Okay, and while that's sort of uploading, I'm just going to give it a width of 16 VW, a height of the same, so it's like a square. And then what I want to do is scroll down to radius. So radius makes it more rounded, right? So 50% makes it like fully a circle. And then what I want to do is position it. So basically what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to grab this list item and I'm going to hit position relative. And then I'm going to go back to this list item video and hit position absolute. Now what that's doing is that when you hit position absolute, it's not positioning an element based on other elements in the same region. Okay, so for example, if I move this position absolute here, what's happening is that it's being moved to the top left of its container, of its parent element, which is list item. If I, however, get rid of this position relative on this list item, then it's going to head to the top left of the first container that has position relative. And if we go back to the body's position will always be like the preceding one, okay? So if I set position relative to this list item, it heads up to the top left of that container. If this list item video is placed inside another container and that was set to position relative, it would be going to the top left of that container specifically. Okay, so what else? I want to get rid of this play pause button for this video, and that's about it. The looping is fine and the autoplay is fine too. Okay, now with our position absolute, I don't want it to be at the top left, I want it to be a little bit above. So I'm just going to move it a little bit to the left actually, and then I'll move it above. So, yep, negative 100% looks right. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to do is decrease the opacity. So the opacity is the transparentness, how transparent it is. So I'm just going to decrease it all the way down to 0. Then what I want to do is actually animate this. So if we hover on here, you can see, so there's a couple things that are happening. First, the video is coming in from the left, right, like this. And then the opacity is going up, so it's going from transparent to fully visible, right? And then also the text is moving up. So there's 3 things happening. Now let's go and let's hit list item and let's go animate this. So it's going to be, I'm going to hit while mouse hover, start an animation, and then we're going to call this list item hover in. And the reason I'm calling it hover in is because we're eventually going to need one for when it hovers back out, right? So when I hover in, this animation happens. But when I hover out, everything goes back to how it was before, right? So for that, we need a different animation. But we'll get to that in just a second. So hover in. Now, I want to grab this video. And initially, before the animation actually starts, I want the opacity to be 0, right? So we're going to set it to 0, and then we're going to hit set as initial state. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for its moved position, so how much it's moved, right? And we're going to move it 30% to the right. Okay, so set as initial state. There. Then I want, first of all, for it to go to full 100% opacity, and I also want it to move back to 0%, so its original state, not initial state, because that's where we're moving it in the starting. Okay. Then I'm going to grab this heading. I'm going to go inside, grab list item heading, and I'm just going to move it with the y coordinates -4 rem, because that was the height that we set for them. So yes, great. Now, okay, we're going to go back to the design in just a second, because if you can see here, the list item heading, right? It's sort of like going underneath the video, which is not what we want to happen. So let's go back. we're going to grab the list item heading and we're going to give it a Z index. Now what a Z index does is it's helpful when you're layering things. So right now I want the heading to be higher in terms of layering than the video, right? So here when we can hit position relative, right? Because that's like the default kind. And I'm just going to give it a Z index of, let's say, 2. Okay? Now if I go back and I give a Z index of 1 to the video, then it's going to be underneath the heading. Okay? So let's go back. Let's see if that works. Yes. Okay, so I'm just going to move the heading to after, like that. Okay, so it's working. Now let's set up the hover out. So if we go inside here, we hover in. Okay, so the video is showing up, everything's showing up. But when I hover out, it just stays that way, which is not what I want to happen, right? I want it to move. I want it to move back to how it was before. So for that, we're going to hit on hover out, and I'm going to start another animation, and I'm going to call this list item hover out. Now in this case, we're going to grab the video again. We are going to move it back to 30%. Okay. We are going to set the opacity back to 0. Okay. We're going to grab this heading. And where does it move? Okay. And we're just going to move it back to its original, so 0. Now if we save this and we go and look at it in preview mode, okay. Perfect. Oh, okay. So now do you see that what's happening is that when we hover out, this heading moves down, but we don't see the other heading. So here's how we're going to fix that. We're going to go back to these, and we're going to go to our heading. And let's see. Okay, so it's working fine here. Let's just see 3 rem. Yeah, it's working fine here. So, okay, -4 rem up here. And for our hover out, we have to be careful that we didn't select just yellow. So we want both the class with the yellow and the one that's normal to be moved, right? So we're just going to hit list item heading. Okay, so that selects both of them, not just the one with the combo class of yellow. So let's save. Now let's see if that works. Yes, okay. This is working. Now, this is a bit of a boring animation because it's like going 0.5 seconds and it's like not doing anything crazy. So we're going to change that in just a second. I actually want to move the video up a little bit more. So grab the video and we're going to go back to positioning. I'll do -130. Now let's see. Okay, that looks better. Now, the last thing that I want to do is change the animation settings. And for the hover in, we'll just extend it a little bit, maybe make it 0.7 seconds instead. And then for the hover out, we'll leave it at 0.5 seconds, but we'll change. So I'm just hitting 1, and I'm hitting shift to grab all of them. And I'm just going to change the easing to in quad. So save, let's see. So it comes out slowly, and then it goes away really quickly. Like that. I'm actually going to reduce that. So for the hover in, I'll make it maybe 0.4 instead. Let's see, let's preview. Okay, that looks better. Yep. Okay, now obviously you can duplicate this as many times and fill it in with different videos and list items, or different videos and different text like I did here with Taylor Swift, Lizzo, and Dua Lipa. But yeah. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, and thank you guys. Bye.